Committee of the Whole meeting for June 18th, 2024. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
You'd call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper. Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas.
Here.
Alderman Rozak.
Here.
Alderman Altman-Cloth. Here. Alderman Ellis.
Here.
On to committee business, discussion of the 2025 budget priorities and strategic plan update. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. Back on May 21st, all the department heads came before this body and talked about their priorities for the departments as to what they're looking for the 2025 budget. As we did for the first time last year, now is the aldermen's time to talk about their thoughts and ideas for the budget. If there's things that weren't brought up, if there's a direction that you think we should be moving, we would like to hear that tonight. So we can either go alderman by alderman or which might be simpler. So I'll let the mayor. Yeah.
So really, we want your input. Also, I'll give, if you want to bring up one of the department heads, if you have a question or something, happy to do that. We're just trying to help us prepare for our first budget workshop, our capital budget. So Alderman Maroney, we're going to start off with you. If you have any questions, comments to the group, to an individual, go for it.
Sure. I'm just going to start and go in the order in which the packet came in.
Sure.
So I had something pretty much for everybody. Start with the clerks. My question was, have we found anything as far as like polling locations for 4th District, other than the library?
Yeah, I'm looking at several. The fire station on Concord, we used to have that as a poll, so could potentially be an option. Excuse me. I've also looked at potentially the basement floor of the community center. But, you know, in looking at a site, you've got to look for available parking as well. And so on a small election, you know, that could work great with the parking, the city and Bank 59 shared lot. But on a really large election, that probably wouldn't work. I think the library is also, you know, part of it is they want to do a facilities study. And there could be a potential there that it could be still at the library. There are things we could look at on the small elections with the increase of election equipment. We could maybe not use all the pieces in the February election of 2025 and maybe even the April of 2025. So we could still potentially fit in there. But I won't know that until we actually get all the equipment and, you know, see how it all lays out. But, and then, you know, I haven't been in, other than a conference room in the utility building, I don't know if that would work, but I know we have like garages, you know, city buildings that way. I haven't looked at other non-city buildings.
Sure. I mean, we don't have the largest community, I mean, distance-wise, but just something that would be closer to the 4th District for those residents.
Right.
You know, other than, I'm the library, I mean, it's generally downtown, but I mean, that was kind of my concern for that.
Yeah. Looking to keep it in the 4th District, you know.
Okay, great.
Within the boundaries.
Excellent, yep. My next one was Public Works. Yeah. Just looking at the priorities for 25 for the streets, basically. 2nd Street, I agree that that's a priority. It's a main corridor, east-west, you know, other than Wisconsin running parallel. My other question was, over by the school apartments on Summit Avenue, it's kind of a hilly, that little section there is pretty bad. Has anybody talked about that at all?
Well, just for you, we'll fix that next week. We actually have it planned. It's going to be, we're going to take the surface off and put it right back the next day. So it's going to be a quick repair.
Okay.
This is just a mill and overlay. We're doing that part of our street paving program, which there's 8 locations we're doing. So there's that one you're talking about right there. There's one a little bit closer to Cross Street.
Yep.
And then there's one on Main Street. And just for everybody's information, the railroad is closing their crossing down next Wednesday and pulling the concrete out, and I'm gonna pave back the middle inside of there. So if anybody's used the Main Street crossing since they've been in town, it's not great. So I met them out there, and that was our solution thus far.
Yeah, that sounds great. Those were the bumps I was talking about. Actually, I had
Good.
thought about those, yeah.
Good.
They're
Yeah.
fun if you hit them really fast, though.
I don't know. Ask your car.
Or the repair store.
That's what I had. Thank you.
Yep, so
Thank you,
that's-
Jason. Yeah.
Hopefully the weather follows that schedule for us, but that's the plan right now.
The next one I had was for Duffy. I just had a question. The East Wisconsin corridor, and just that redevelopment plan and where we're at with that specifically. Are you talking about, when you say East Wisconsin, are you talking out toward Laurelburgs?
Yeah, roundabout out towards Laurelburgs.
Okay.
We've identified that as an area, and again, since you're somewhat newer alderman, what we always try to do is look out 3-5 years of what our next area of the community that needs some investment. So in 2020, 2021, we had UWM, Community Design Solutions, take a look at that area, and really take a look at what some feasible redevelopment that it could occur there, should some of those property owners want to make their property available for development and redevelopment. So it'd really be, from the council standpoint, are you supportive of us sharing that information out with developers to encourage investment in that area? And then ultimately, we're likely going to be able to close TIF number 4, which that's part of the original downtown TIF in 2025, or the end of 2024, early 2025. We may also need to create a new TIF district in that area to support public-private partnerships and redevelopment in that area.
Sure, great, thank you so much. Yeah, that was my question. I had a Western Lakes question. Sorry, I'm not sure if this was our plan. Good. Okay.
Dude, awesome, Andy.
I don't mean to take up so much time, but staffing priorities, just
Should we just leave? We should leave and let him.
staffing priorities.
I think what is important, if there's somebody that has a similar question or it's been covered, let's make sure we don't have duplicates in the interest of time. Go ahead.
Staffing.
Yeah,
just,
the staffing plan,
priorities.
when we came forward in 2022 with the sustainable staffing and funding plan, some of the communities had the referendum approved and some did not. Overall, our goal was to do this over the course of 3 years, so 2025 would be the third phase of that plan. So the first year we did 40%, the next year we did 20%, 2025 would be the remaining 20%.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That was mine. And then I had a human resource question. I just wanted to ask about the applicant tracking software costs and what that would cost.
Same question. It's under 10,000. We're budgeted for like 10,500. I think we came under. I can't remember exact quote was, but it was a good deal.
And I think that'll be beneficial.
Oh, yeah, we need it.
You need it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, all the positions that we have constantly going, all the seasonals, I don't know any other way to do it without it. It tracks it, it keeps all the resumes in order, applications I can route. There's so many features, and I can go over it in more detail if you want, but
Great. No, I
Very
appreciate
beneficial.
that. I might send you an email on that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And then I had, is library here?
She gets no money.
Fire away.
It was just, my question was combining the circulation and reference desk and just the logistics of that. And I know there was some talk about possibly changing locations. I mean, I can't imagine losing that library or putting it somewhere else. I don't know if that was brought up last time by our director, but,
I've never heard that.
okay. I mean, they were talking about expansion, they weren't talking about leaving that building.
No,
right?
she just meant, like, you know how when you walk in, you have the circ desk, and then like kind of in the middle, you have the reference
Yes.
desk? So moving it into one desk.
One.
Okay.
So like one of the desks would have to move to the other desk. They're not moving buildings.
Okay, no, I didn't, I
Okay.
misunderstood. I was taken back by that if I misunderstood.
Reference desk is gonna be in your garage, Andy.
Jeez.
And you have to
I don't
run
think
it.
I have enough room.
very busy.
It's gonna be really busy.
Only till about 9 o'clock.
And then I just had one more about Park and Rec with the 5-Os, Northeast Regional, and how that's working, moving baseball up there.
Yeah, so right now, that's why I want to get that concept plan, or more of a detailed plan of what's going on in Northeast. I've had conversations with the 5-Os, and, they're on board with that. It's just, getting that planned out.
Okay, great, great, looking forward to it. And then I had one question about utility. Is Kevin here?
You said that was your last one.
You did say that was your last one. That was,
Sorry, one more.
yeah, you did.
I have
No, go ahead.
Safe Drinking Water Grant, just the details on that and how that works as
Well,
one of your priorities.
There isn't grant money available anymore. That ended in 2023.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yes. So in 2024, and until the state would have more grants or something to apply for, the only thing we have for residents right now are low-interest loans that they can sign up for with the city through, it's a 0.5% loan through the state that they've, no, it's low interest, but we do not have grants anymore.
Okay, I must have understood that, but.
I think, I'm sorry to interrupt, but were you referring to this part where it says continue to apply for safe drinking water?
I think so,
grants
yes.
and loan programs?
Yeah, as
So you're
things,
saying as they're available?
as they're available,
Right.
as we hear of things,
Thank you,
we
Karen.
will
Yeah.
continue to do whatever we need to do to help people switch over.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for that clarification.
Good. Alderman Mulder.
We're going my way.
Oh, shoot,
All
I
right.
thought you were going the other way.
It's just, our
Mr. Mayor,
city administrator
if I
wants to
could
speak.
just jump in here quick. So what we were really looking for tonight are any newer, different ideas.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We only allotted so much time because we went through some of it last time because we had extra time. If we have time, we can come back and talk to the department heads, but we just want to make sure that if there was something that wasn't presented by the department heads that aldermen want to be looking at or looking to include in the budget, that we're able to get that information tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So some of these may not rise to the level of budget, but I'm going to say them anyway. So for the library, there's an RFP going out. We already discussed this with a couple other aldermen and mayor. We're going to include in there the potential of adding an unstaffed branch library in the Paps Farms area, so that I think that's a good way for us to serve part of the population and not have leakage of our citizens going to Delafield or other places, be able to provide better service. That could be in addition to or instead of additional space in the library. Jen and I spoke on that. It's not commonly done here. It's very commonly done in Europe. Could be a new service model that works well for our community as it kind of spreads. I'm wondering about the tourism fund and where we ended up with that. I know we had money. I'm guessing we're going to have more money this year. I don't have a question about it, other than I'd like to see more about that or in the budget process. Matt had brought up once about, could the walking around the lake is such a popular thing. Is there a way we could use that money to enhance that? So I don't want that money to get out of hand and not have a purpose for us, since I know each year we've discussed that. A couple different things on roads, safety more so. A couple of us got an email from a gentleman who saw an accident at the corner of Armour and Highway 16 bypass. And Matt, you said that's the only one on the bypass. That's actually the only one between the interstate and Highway Z that is not a controlled intersection.
Is it that far?
It's
Wow.
that far. So where there are left turns available. So I passed that along to Representative Dietrich because that is a state road there, I think. But I think that really warrants further look, because it is fairly terrifying, and a lot of high school students use that in the morning and evening.
It's a nice shortcut.
Yeah, yeah. And then on Lake Drive Highway Z, there's two crossings right now on 5 different crossings, and with that growing population, two crosswalked intersections out of 5. One has the lights, which is effective, I'd like to see that evaluated and see whether or not it warrants additional crosswalks. And in fact, the extension of the sidewalks, I think, on both sides of the bypass end, probably at the, whatever the easement is for the state easement, and whether that could be connected or not, because it's a little awkward right now. Sidewalks just dead end. I spoke with Eric about this before. I think there's a couple things I'd like to see the Park and Rec take a look at. First of all is limiting mowing areas. He said they're already looking at that, but the potential of adding wildflower areas rather than mowed areas. An example of that is the Parkside Park in our district, which is probably 4 acres of completely unused land. This has some trees back along the tree line and Rosenau Creek's behind that, so we need to protect it. I wouldn't want to see it develop, which it couldn't be, but it seems like a great area to not mow and do something higher use with that. And then with the environmental impacts on our urban forest in people's backyards, the number of dying pine trees, of course, emerald ash borer, there's a lot of dead wood in our community. It's very expensive to take down. Is there a way, kind of like the lead lateral program, is there a way we can provide a lower cost method for our constituents to be eliminating those trees before they fall on power lines or on houses or block roads and things like that? The number of storms, it seems like, is increasing. Get each of you, see if there's anything else. Baseball, I would, Jason, you and I spoke briefly about the current champion field, and I think I still would like us to look at that and what it would take to rehab that. Maybe not for all baseball, but preserve a softball diamond or 2 softball diamonds. I know the desire there is to expand the yard over there. I just, you know, before we commit, or what already feels like we're starting to commit to our to ballparks in the northeast area, I think we need to take a look at that and understand what it would really be. And I know it's going to be, it'll be years probably before we do get to baseball there, and should we be working on that, the parking lot there and the concession stand there? Is there something low cost we can be doing just to make that a little safer and prevent further degradation? So, I think that's all. Okay.
Thank you, Alderman
Thanks.
Spiegelberg.
Wow. Hard act to follow. I don't really have much. Talking about the safety, the intersection in question, and I think I had copied him in on that. I go through that a lot. I guess maybe we need to check into it, obviously. But I think the biggest issue that I see with that intersection is that people are going way too fast. Is that true? Doesn't it slow down to 35 at that point? People are going basically 55.
It does. It does go down to 35 there. I can tell you that we sit out there a lot. We write a lot of tickets out there for it. We've researched that intersection before. There is no good solution of lights or stop signs because you're obstructed by the hill of the bridge.
It will not be a signalized intersection.
Correct.
The
So-
state will close the intersection
Right.
before they'll signalize
Yeah.
it.
We have been discussing the option of, is it right turn only?
Yeah.
And you cannot cross the bypass there.
I mean, it's difficult because if you're coming from the north and you're going 55, I've done it myself, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's.
It's
30
45.
It goes 45 and then 35, but still,
way out
yeah, yeah,
by the school.
yeah. But even when it's 55 way out by the school, people are still flying through there going 55. You know, I don't know.
A couple of years ago, the state wanted to raise the speed limit through there.
What'd you say?
A couple of years ago, the state wanted to raise the speed limit through there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The chief and I talked to him.
Okay. The Park and Rec mowing thing, that's something that actually, I think Alderman Rozak, you brought that up a long time ago.
What was that?
Mowing.
Trying to limit some of the mowing that we do in some of the areas and letting just sort of the natural habitat, wildflowers sort of take over in some of those areas, save the costs.
We were also looking at
And/or-
contract mowing.
And/or doing some of the contract mowing, right, yeah. Okay. My only other question, Bob Duffy, are your priorities, are they in order of the priorities that you want? I would say probably not.
necessarily.
Okay. Because I would think that your priority number 5, the city website design, is probably one of your big priorities.
I think for the city, again, I
Correct.
become the facilitation of that.
Right.
But we just see it takes about a year to rebuild those types of things, so.
Yeah, and I mean, we can read through this, but what's the downside if you don't get it this year? We just kind of operate as is
It just
and
gets
kind
put
of-
off for another year.
Yeah.
And again, technology changes more rapidly and, moving to that digital video technology, accessibility regulations have increased since we did our last website, so.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
Alderman Ellis. Thank you.
Yeah, for Park and Rec, got a question. All right, so you may have gotten a phone call from Patel in reference to
Oh, yeah,
cricket?
the cricket, yeah.
Right, so is that, he just wants a pitch over on Roosevelt? Is that going to be something?
Oh, we looked at Champion Field area.
Champion?
Yeah.
Champion, correct,
So,
yeah.
yeah, we're looking at that. I'm working with Jenny Froming on that to see how we can accommodate that.
Okay,
Yeah, he sent me kind of the preliminary sketch of what it would look like, and that's something I think we can do. So,
I'd actually gone to my first cricket match, and I thought it to be quite interesting, and I think it could really fit there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That was it.
All right.
Thank you. Now, also about roads. You come on up for a second. We're kind of knee-deep right now at Concord, and so how are we doing? Are there any surprises that have come up?
No surprises. It's a lengthy project, like we discussed. It's a mile-long stretch of road and
I'll
walk.
understand why in a
I'm-
second. You
okay.
Just bear with me here.
I will, but you guys, we got to be focusing on the
Yeah.
225 budget, not current events.
Right, no, there's a purpose.
Continue, but
Thank you.
I'll give you,
Yeah, so no surprises yet. We're still completing the utility work on that. Paving is scheduled right after the 4th of July.
The one thing I didn't note in your original proposal, and I just thought about this, is sidewalk on the other side of the street after the,
Coming off the bridge,
coming off the bridge.
on the north side there?
Right.
Okay.
Is that possible? Can that still be within the 1.5?
I would have to run some numbers and
Okay.
discuss exactly what you're suggesting. If we want to make a full connection from the bridge down to the existing sidewalk, I'd
Right.
have to run some numbers to see where we're at with that. I would have to, lean towards, we would be up against that budget number,
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
because that would probably be close to almost 6 figures.
okay. Thank you. That's it.
Jennifer Altman-Cloth.
All right. I don't have too many. You already mentioned about polling, correct, Andy? You talked about that? Okay, good. Where am I?
Andy talked about everything.
I know, Andy beat us to all of it. City website, Bob Duffy. Didn't we, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we just redo the city website, like right after I was elected the first time, so like
2020, 2021, I think is when we launched it.
20,
I think
okay.
we worked on it in 2020 and we launched it in January of 2021.
Might
have been
updates to
Or maybe with some updates, okay. So it has been a while, so like you would say that is
And
kind of a
again, if we
need?
take 2025 to build it, we'll likely launch in 2026.
Okay, that was all on that one. And then, library, which I know Jen's not here, but hopefully she watches this. In regards to combining the reference and the circ desk, I would be curious to see, first of all, what would the cost of that be? I'm assuming there probably wouldn't be a lot of cost, but if there was, what would that be? And then I would be really curious to know how much that would potentially save on,
Future staffing.
thank you, the personnel budget, because of how she would plan on staffing it. Because during her interview and then even some time after, she had talked about how by combining those, you would need less staff. So just kind of curious to see what it would save the library going forward. And then Park and Rec. What was that? I know. Oh, Park and Rec is going to be really long. We're going to go through this item by item. So Eric and I talked about this the other day, and it, I have to say, Mayor Magnus, you said something like a year or two ago, and you were right.
Oh, ooh, whoa.
I know. So everyone mark the calendar, brace yourself.
Wait, I got my wallet out.
You said our community has fundraising fatigue. And you're right, we do. And I've been talking with some friends that are in local government in other municipalities throughout Waukesha County. And they are actually a little surprised that we, like when we want to bring something to our city, that we go so heavy on it being donated. And then I was talking with, and I won't name him just in case, but somebody else who's involved in our community. He's not in the room, I will say that. And he was saying that in his conversations, he's kind of learned that most fundraising, the city at least bears 70% of the cost of something, and then you kind of fundraise for the rest of it, so that your community does have some sort of like skin in the game. So as of right now, we've raised like, I'm not gonna say the exact number, but like 52,000 or 53,000 something, which the total of the dog park, that's 35% that we have raised. So we are about $20,000 short. So if you could just work that in your capital budget for next year, and then we can just get this over the finish line, that'd be great. Because we do have some pretty big money from, people, like the Dembics gave us $20,000, Downtown Business gave us 10, Bank 59 gave us 10 or 15. I mean, we're just like, at this point, we're just sitting on these people's money, and it just doesn't feel right.
Do it
So-
this year.
What?
Just do it this year. We're gonna spend $20,000. Is that all we need?
That's all we need. So, I mean, whether or not, again, maybe we take it out of that big slush fund that the city has.
Only if you stop calling it that.
I said that just to be sassy, because I know you don't like that. So I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, we did fundraise 35%, which, I'll be honest, when Mayor Magnus said to me how the community has fatigue, I thought, oh my gosh, we're not gonna get anything. So the fact that we got there, I think was pretty impressive. So, I'm just throwing it out there. We're 20 short. Let's figure out how to get this over the finish line. So I guess I didn't really need you to answer anything. Just stand there and just for moral support while we ask for more money. Okay, Chief Pfister. I'm actually gonna ask you a question. Police budget. And I promise this is my last thing. Mr. Sighing over here. Okay, the virtual reality. I think in theory, the way that you explained this the other day, it sounds like a great tool. And I do agree that, we are Oconomowoc, so there's not a lot of real life opportunities, thank God. And that's why we all live here, right? But then you were explaining how some of these, and I do remember you saying that there's some of it that you can program like our city, your department policies, things like that. I just have such a distrust for anything AI right now. I mean, when you look at the one Google AI that just came out, and, people are putting in, the founding fathers, and then like a bunch of women, are showing up. And it's just, AI right now I feel is so distorted and so one-sided, and it's kind of a side that's not favorable to police. So I would really hope that you would do a lot of homework on who's behind the technology. I would love for you to kind of come to us and show us that. I mean, if at the end of the day, if you're really comfortable that the AI behind it is really good, and that, 95% of the time they're telling you not to shoot when you probably should be shooting, I could get behind it, but for right now, it's too much of an unknown.
Okay.
I know there was no questions there, sorry.
There wasn't a question there.
There was?
If you're done, though, I do have a question for Chief, if you're done, but I don't need to, I don't want to step on your toes.
No, I'm good, it's all you.
Can I respond to that, or?
Oh, no, you can respond.
To the AI thing or the
Yeah.
shooting thing?
I've actually been looking at it more, and we had the discussion about getting them in here to demonstrate and so forth. So I've actually been debating on pulling that item actually out, so I didn't tell you that, sorry.
Not yet.
Right. But I've been debating that because there is some, I read some other articles and got some other information in there about some technology that's supposed to come out in the next year or two. And I've been looking at why buy something now when I think
There might
it
be
still could
something
be better
better.
down the road here, so.
I mean, I personally liked the garage scenario thing. I mean, that's just do that, run those drills all
That's
the time.
great for a citizen.
Alderman Rozak.
Yeah, Chief, thanks for that quick update. Have you put more thought into doing the staffing study yourself?
Yes.
Do you
Yep.
think you're going to be able to maybe do that? And
Yeah,
give
I think
us
so.
Some kind of 5-year plan or something versus, spending 50 grand to do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied that we can come up with that, yeah.
Yeah,
Get that
okay.
taken care of.
That's good. Thank you for, that was it. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, that was it. Library, she's not here, but I do like that idea of combining the desks. I love Matt's idea about having a potential satellite location. I think it's a good idea. I think we are losing a lot of residents in the Delafield Library, then in the Bridges system is getting more of the true non-resident numbers. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people on my side of town go to Delafield because it's closer. And so we lose, the way the funding formula works is very complicated, but when they get more true non-residents to their library versus us, they get more funding in that through Bridges. So we should be encouraging people to come to our library to get more funding. Not necessarily just through programs, but it's really calculated mostly through circulation. So creating some type of satellite location somewhere on our end of town where there's a lot of development makes a lot of sense. And maybe another one someday on the other side by like the Piggly Wiggly area, somewhere that services those folks out there. Draw more people from the town, from Stone Bake, from Merton, versus making them go to Heartland or go somewhere else. So that's a great idea. I love that. I do also think with the libraries, I don't know if this is quite on point or not, but we should put an extra council member on that committee that starts reviewing that RFP and starts deciding. I don't care who it is, but I think when we function best is when we have an educated council. And so the more people that I think are involved early on, I think that softens the blow of some of these things that come to us. Because there's maybe discussion, there's, it gets brought up after a meeting at a beer or something, and it creates kind of this, oh, we've got 2 members on that committee that have looked at this already. And I think, Mayor, you've done a great job of involving the president, the vice president in some of these meetings and decisions, and I think that makes it a little easier because we then trust the people that are in those meetings. So Matt's already on the board, he's there, but it would be nice on that committee that's talking about the new building or the refurbishment that we put one other person on this council on that.
We had a conversation back in April about potentially putting me on that, and I would love to serve on that.
And then my only last comment really would be, a slush fund is only anything above the 25% mandatory council policy.
Alderman Douglas.
He won't even look at me. I'm kidding.
I guess I take it more personal because of that.
It's not.
I know, no, I do know you're kidding, but, in a public setting, I'd prefer not to.
The reserve fund.
The reserve gives
unrestricted
us a lot of opportunities and helps the city a lot. Alderman Douglas.
A lot of stuff was said. 2 just kind of, I guess, quick statements more than anything, having people come up. The number one thing I'm asked about from constituents is Northeast Regional Park. So parks, it's a big thing I'm always asked about, and what's going there, when we're gonna do something. So I'm glad that's on the outlook for that. And then second is for the PD. Again, I'm sure it's not in order, but number 4, having the EOC and equipment is probably one of the bigger things for me, is making sure that we're ready and prepared in that EOC. It seems like, what was it, last night? There was a severe weather storm, and it hit like Oconomowoc and then disappeared. It seems like this area tends to get hit a lot, and then it just dissipates before it gets to Waukesha. So having that EOC for any of those major big events and the equipment there, I think is a big priority for me, so.
Well, great. Thank you, Council, for all your comments. We have one more from Alderman Shellpepper. So your request hasn't been brought up yet. Mark was going to bring it up, but since you're able to make it, thank you for rushing back.
Yeah.
If you'd like to share that, your concern or
Well,
request.
just in regards to the conversation we have coming up for the city council meeting in regards to McDowell, we don't have to have a specific number with regards to McDowell, but I would like there to be a line item within the general fund budget and the utility budget to make sure that something can be done there if the council decides to go forward with the project, which I hope we will during the next meeting, so.
Sounds good. Do you have any other comments or things to share with the department heads?
I shared with my comments during the last meeting, so I don't need to rehash those again.
Great,
So,
thank you. Moving forward, if you have questions, comments, please email them to Lori and to Mark. They will then compile things and get answers and then have things back to you before we go to our first capital budget workshop. So thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to our next item, discuss options for restroom and concession buildings for City Beach. Mr. Betcher.
Where did it move to?
As is getting things set up, everyone, what staff is looking for is a direction as to what you'd like to do. As we are starting to move forward with renovating the boat launch, this is the next item that we need to address at some level, and that's up to you and your council members as to give staff a direction as to which direction we'd like to go.
I thought we discussed this. Was
No.
it number 2, number 4? Am I
No.
wrong? Okay.
Thanks, Ivan.
We mentioned that it would be discussed, but we haven't done anything in detail.
Okay.
So as you guys know, the restroom and concession stand, the restroom was part of the original plan to be put in to the structure of the current band shell. Due to some constraints with issues with the age of the building and just the level of it, we decided to look at another option. So tonight I wanted to kind of get direction from this board as to how we want to proceed with this. Currently we have Buddy's Beach Bungalow and our staff house. Those are in the current footprint of the boat launch project, so those will have to be removed this year. Buddy's currently has their lease through, their agreement through this September, and then after that we have to figure out where we're going to go from here. So I kind of put together some options for you. This was the original plan. We had originally looked at doing the staff house over here and then the restrooms into the band shell lower level. One of the options that we were looking at is option A. This would combine the restrooms and the staff house and the concession stand all into one building. The nice thing about this is it's one building footprint, it's close to the beach, and it serves a purpose for all three of those. Some of the issues with this is you're not by street level, so you have to use a grinder pump with this. That can be a maintenance issue. The other thing is you're putting everything into one building, so is that the most effective way to use this facility? Another option is option B, where you would have the staff house and the concession stand in that lower area, and then do a separate restroom up closer to the road. This gives you a little bit more flexibility with space as far as the concession stand and the staff building being together. The other option here is allowing this restroom up here. You're at street level. That eliminates the need for a grinder pump, so that it would allow you to better utilize that structure. So those are kind of the two options that we're kind of looking at. Nothing set in stone, so I just wanted to get feedback from you guys, what you felt would work. So kind of our options are, looking forward is, do we build this on our own? Do we go out for RFP and have somebody else design something and build it for us? And then really just what do we want for a structure? So are we going to do a separate of the restroom and the concession stand, or do we all want it all in one footprint? So I did add this. Mr. Suttner is here tonight as well. His slides are in here as well, so he has a couple of things that I'm sure he would like to share, but at this point I will open up to discussion from this point.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we did send this out for a design, approximately how much would that cost, do you think?
Depending on what we do, anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000, depending on what you wanted
geez.
to do.
Okay.
They're expensive.
The design and build, not just the design.
The design and
Design-
build.
design and build.
yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
At the first option, is there, I know you said, what did you say as far as you would need like you would or wouldn't need a grinder pump if we put everything in that one area?
So the issue is when you're down below closer to the beach, you're so far down that you need to have a grinder pump to push basically the sewage up to the sewer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but would it still be more cost-effective to have everything in that one building? Like,
It depends. I mean, it probably would be because you're building one structure.
yeah, I don't know, I kind of like, A. I think that with B, that it's too close to the road and not as close to where all the action is with the families and stuff down here.
The other thing to remember is the structure up here, we still have restrooms in.
That was going to be one of my questions. Those will still be operative?
So those are still an option.
Okay.
This allows us to do something up closer to the road and provide that ADA restroom. And you can do more with a family restroom and things like that there.
Well, there's definitely benefits to both. Thank you.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
I think I missed what you just said. So there would be bathrooms still in the band shell?
Yeah, so the current restrooms that are in the band shell, those would remain. These
Okay.
would be additional restrooms.
Would they be redesigned at all, the ones that are currently in
No,
there?
those
just
would
kinda
stay
left
as
is?
is. The whole purpose of adding restrooms is to add an ADA component of that.
Because we don't have that, okay. So could we, I don't know, I see the benefits of having that on the road there when you think about how much foot traffic we have. But then, I'm thinking like if I'm a lifeguard or I'm working the concessions at Buddy's and it's a super busy day. I mean, it's not that far of a walk to go from there to there, but if it's very crowded and you don't have a lot of time, it's a long walk. But, so if we have the bathrooms so actually, let me ask you this. If we were to put the bathrooms, whether on the road or in, like the building, how many stalls in the men's and women's would we have?
Well, it depends on the design, but like, for instance, when we looked at this originally, you could look at, for, the cost estimate was $550,000 for 3 stalls and 1 family restroom and a mechanical room. But you could also have something that is, less as far as just a structure that's a prefab that would be about,
So if-
$250,000.
Regardless of which one we did, and now as I'm thinking it through, I think I'm leaning towards Plan A. Could we put just one ADA compliant bathroom in there? And that's it? I mean, because for big events, again, you're gonna have to have porta-johns. We're not gonna build enough bathrooms to ever support something like that. We already have the ones in the band shell. We've operated with the ones in the band shell for generations. So just put the one ADA compliant one in option A.
Yeah, that's an option.
Alderman Maroney.
My question was for option B, and I know we talked about, what would a handicap bathroom be? What would be the challenges for having that up by the road? Because it's kind of sloping there, if you're like towards the band shell. Would that be
Yeah,
an
I mean,
issue?
you can, I mean, when we looked at this, you can definitely make it ADA compliant with slope.
Okay.
There's a way to do that.
Okay, and I mean, you are kind of away from the lake. I don't really see an issue as far as like the travel, but my concern was the handicap locations for that and any challenges, so.
Alderman Mulder.
I'm in favor of option A. I don't like option B, putting the restrooms up there and, drawing kids up towards the road. And it feels like all of the activity is down where the building 12 is down there. The bathrooms in the band shell, I don't know what the women's are like. The men's are horrific and not really something you want to go in halfway through the concerts down there. So if those can be improved, that would be great. I don't think, those are not, I don't think, in keeping with what we want as bathrooms for our community members. If we can do it all in one footprint, I'd be interested to know what Mr. Sutner says about square footage that he needs. You know, it makes a lot of sense. I don't really understand. I know what the grinder pump would be. I don't understand how costly or difficult that is to maintain. I don't want to create a problem right by our beach, but it feels really efficient to me. And if we're talking $500,000, building 2 is going to be more. So.
Alderman Rozak.
I'll just jump in quick. Yeah, I agree with everything Matt said. Option A makes the most sense, one footprint. I can't imagine if you're a handicapped individual and you're at the beach and you're hanging out there, you want to, you know, go all the way up to the road, or that parents would want their kids to go up to the road. That makes zero sense to me. Plus, the bathrooms are also going to be used by people that are coming to our boat launches and stopping at the itinerant piers, and I think, you know, they're going to want that a little closer to where the boats are. So I think we just go with one structure down there, and I definitely do not want it prefab. I don't want it ugly. Whatever we do there needs to be generational, nice, and iconic. We're spending millions and millions of dollars with some support from the neighboring communities on the lake, but you know, we're picking up a massive chunk of this, and we should do it right. So I don't want a prefab building or, you know, a little tiny structure that we can't grow with a little and can't use properly, so.
I agree with those comments as well. Plus, when you walk up along the area in option 2 or option B, if you put a bathroom up there, it really blocks that whole area. And so it's something that, from an infrastructure standpoint, it would be nice to have it up there because of the grinder pump. But the grinder pumps are all over the place, and I think that it's a necessary expense. I'd like to ask Mr. Sutner and his team. They have reached out to me personally and also to the staff for several months because they have an interest in helping to, or potentially partnering with the city of Oconomowoc. And he has some other ideas, so again, another type of option or concept. And we just want to get everybody up to speed as what some of these options are, so as we move forward in one direction or the other, everybody knows what's going on. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Sutner from Buddy's Beach Bungalow.
Hey everybody, John Sutner, Buddy's Beach Bungalow, Cornerstone. I'd also like to invite up my architect to
That's
answer
fine.
any really tough questions. Al? We went ahead and took the liberty of, if I have more, if you don't have enough here, so of the printouts, so that'll be the slides. We took the liberty of designing something that we think will work for everybody. This one. So we're going to kind of start backwards here. This is a building that we designed. Do you need more?
Yes.
Yeah, we do need that. 3 more.
So we took the ability to design something that'll work for everybody, and we're looking for possibly build this on our own, or even look for a public-private partnership. We would look to either pay for it ourselves, but answer everybody's concerns and problems, and what I think is a great design that Al did. And go through some of these pictures here that you can see where the band shell is and the new structure. We took everything into consideration, making sure that the lifeguards would have complete vision of the beach and the boat launch, because that's very important. But also making sure Buddy's had a good location, and then the restrooms, I'm trying to get back, oh, what did I do here? They're not all on here. Nope, all the slides aren't on here, but that's okay. Well, all the slides didn't make it, but that's okay. We'll talk about it anyhow. Can I get one of those sheets? So if you go to page 1 of your book, you'll see where it's been, we're proposing more of an L-shaped building. And the bump out would actually be where the project would be. And you'll see that on page 2, where it says lifeguard housing, concessions, and then the bathrooms. The bathrooms are actually at the back of the building on page 2. And they are, you walk in from the parking lot, men's would, very accessible to everybody, very handicapped and people using the boat launch. you'll see that on page 2, and then if you go to, you'll see the roof outline on page 3. So you can kind of get an understanding of what the footprint of the building is. And then to Mr. Rozik's comments about it being a good building and aesthetically correct and such, this can all be built on brick.
This would be what, would you say, John? Oh.
So we're not gonna cheap out the socket, it's gonna be masonry. It's gonna be there for a long time. And mine would be that this makes the most sense for everybody. It's very easy to maintain, and you're not dealing with any, issues when it comes to always having to paint it or whatever you have to do. Now, if you go to the pictures, you'll see the first picture that you'll see, that's the parking lot view. And you'll see where the band shell is, and then you'll also see it entering the restrooms. The second picture would be, I'll call it the grass seats for the concerts.
Can you talk into the microphone because it's being recorded, please?
I'll call it the grass seats for the concerts. And you'll see the one window, service window for Buddies, and another service window on, would be the far side there. And the door is actually a door for the lifeguards. They have two doors actually in their facility. Door in the east and the door in the west. So they can enter to get out to the parking lot, to talk to somebody, or obviously any kind of rescue, they can see everything. So it was designed that way. Ultimately, we believe that this would be the best of both worlds for everybody. We wanted to answer all concerns in this diagram. With a one straight building, the lifeguards are gonna be either too far away from the parking lot or too far away from the beach. And you can't do it that way. So Al, I'm gonna let him talk because he's the one that drew this thing. Any questions about the design or diagrams or anything?
Any comments or questions from council for Mr. Sutton or the architect? Alderman Rozak.
Hey, thanks, John. It was a little hard to see from these photos, but is there going to be like a seating area? Is that what the?
There would be a patio area similar to like there is now in front of where Buddy's is, where the main concession window is.
And what kind of seating outside are you thinking?
Very similar to what we have now, but instead of the portable picnic tables, we would put in more of bolted down.
Yeah.
Similar to what's in the rest of the park now.
You're kind of hamstrung there with the band shell there.
Yep, but I really think that the way Al laid this out makes a great amount of sense. And again, I'm offering to partner with the city on this, whatever that may mean, or pay for it myself. And with paying for it myself, I would need a long-term contract.
How long are you thinking, John? 20 years?
Well, being that ultimately, I'm open 3 months a year. I'm not open 12 months, so the return is not there in 3 months. So that's why you would have to be forward-looking to what that would be. I'm part of the community. I don't think there's a person in this room doesn't know who I am, and I'm not going anywhere. And Buddies is part of me, and I think it's done a great job for that beach. We want to continue to grow, and my kids all work there. My daughter runs 3 of them now, and she'll continue to be part of it. So.
Hey, John, what about really thinking outside the box? I think sometimes maybe we're cursed with a lack of vision sometimes. I mean, some things we are very good about. Sometimes we're cursed with a lack of vision. What about doing something really, really cool there with a lakefront restaurant attached / concession stand that you could use more often?
The cost would be astronomical.
For what you need to build there to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the drop $3.5 million down there wouldn't make any sense.
Okay.
Because, and I'll just tell you, that's what I have in the cornerstone, so.
Yeah, and we got the community center right across the way that was originally, that lower level was supposed to be designed to do some of that and it never did because we didn't put a grease trap and other things in there, so.
And again, that particular location, although it's beautiful, is just too far away from where everything happens.
Right.
People want.
By the way,
ease.
there's bathrooms down there too. There's
Yeah,
actually
there are.
bathrooms that
There
are open.
They're nice bathrooms.
Yeah.
And these would be nice bathrooms too. Again, I'm not going anywhere. I want to be part of this community, and I want Buddies to be there for a very long time. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and be part of this, and I hope the council wants that same thing.
No, I applaud you for taking the initiative, and you've been very enthusiastic and trying to do the right thing, so thank you, and thank you for bringing
Thanks.
that.
Appreciate it.
Council, do you have any other questions for Mr. Sutner? Do you have any questions for Mr. Betcher?
Well, yeah, appreciate you bringing this forward. It's fantastic. I love the idea. 20 years, like, what you long-term?
Well, I mean, if I was to build it by myself, and I'm just, again, I'll get right to it, I just signed a contract with Brookfield, not that we're in Brookfield.
We're better
but
than
I'm just
Brookfield,
go by what I'd done. And when I say just, it was a few months ago. I built something not quite this detailed, but I have a 25-year land lease there. And they understand I got to try to get my money back somehow, so.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Okay, this is going to sound strange coming from a woman, because you know how I feel about the whole bathroom thing, but as we're starting to build more bathrooms within the city, have we possibly looked into the idea, have any of you guys been in these unisex bathrooms? And if you haven't been in one, then you know what I mean? Okay, the first one I was ever in was at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, and I see this line, and there's like men and women, I'm like, what is going on here? But you walk in, and every stall is completely closed off from top to bottom. Men, women, kids, everybody, you have complete privacy within there, and then you just come out, and you're just using the sinks as a common. And it's so awesome, because if you're not waiting in lines
Yeah,
like you
I
do
am
with
not
women
opposed to
generally.
that at all. If that's something we want to do, it'd be probably easier for us.
Well, I don't want to wait in line.
We'll know how we feel.
Alderman Altman
I mean,
Close.
I'm not opposed to a unisex bathroom if it is like a single stall, like only one door that gets you in and out, but I am not in favor of my 12-year-old daughter. I don't have a 12-year-old daughter, if I had a 12-year-old daughter, being in the same kind of closed-in, or even my 14-year-old daughter, being in the same closed-in area with a man. Like, that is not acceptable. I mean, I don't care if the thing is going to the ceiling or not, like, that's a hard no for me, I'm sorry.
There's advantages and disadvantages, definitely,
When it
but they're
comes to
more.
safety of kids.
They're more effective because you can get people through, you know?
I'll say this, having been at every band in the last 10 years, and the bands continue to grow, since we added 2 more porta-johns down there, that's really helped the problem. But this would eliminate, in my opinion, the need for porta-johns. And because they're nasty, no matter how much I clean them or whatever, it's still a portable toilet, it's nasty. And ultimately, I think that this would eliminate that. I'm gonna ask Al, how many stalls were we planning, because I don't know.
The women's, we were putting 2 stalls, one is ADA, and in the men's, we were putting a urinal and a water closet.
So right there, we would be ahead of what we have currently down there with the 3 porta-johns.
Alderman Douglas?
I'm not going to ask about the square footage of the concessions, because this is your plan, so I assume that's enough square footage for you. However, the lifeguard shack, is 169 square feet enough?
I'm gonna let you
Pardon me?
answer that.
That's not.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Same as the
I'm speaking
lifeguard
the
shack.
In the microphone, please?
Sorry, yeah. The lifeguard shack is the same size as they have right now.
Yeah, so my question is more for parks, if that's big enough for them.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No, he's asking Eric.
I've talked with Eric.
Yeah, because we've talked, and that's, like, we met with him and Jennifer to talk about, is this enough? And yeah, I mean, the big concern was the visibility of both the boat launch and the beach, and that's been addressed with this, so it would be big enough.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Mr. Betcher. We'll continue those discussions. Are there any further comments from council? Or is there any, staff will continue to work with all of the different options moving forward. Any further comments?
I mean, I guess I do have one very briefly. I don't want to belabor the issue. I like that, the general concept that John moved forward. I'd love to see some different renderings, more, this looks more like a traditional look. And I'd love to see what something, you know, more modern would look there, something more iconic, you know? Maybe more windows, maybe a little bit different flair.
More wow factor.
Yeah, just a little bit something more there. I know it's gonna be
That
kind
all
of.
costs money.
Well, yeah, right. No. Well, again, I think open to the concept of public-private, depending upon what that means. You know, if you say,
Yeah.
look, I can only spend 350 or 400 or 450, whatever that number is, and we want something that's a little bit more of an upgrade look, you know, we put in a little bit more towards it. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. The boxy kind of bathroom concession stand look with what we've got going on, how much we're spending down there, I'd love to see maybe some other concepts of maybe a little bit more of an upgraded look. But maybe this would look, you know, once we see more colors and stuff too, this could look awesome, you know, as well.
You know, I think that colors do a lot. This is obviously just very bland palette, but colors do a lot, and we could definitely make it look, windows are easy, but we could definitely make it look more modern or more upscale, if that's something we're looking for.
Something to complement the community center and the band shell.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna let you speak
Yeah, if
to
I
that.
could speak to that a little bit, and I probably should have spoke before. My name is Al Francois, I'm the architect. So what we did is we picked up on, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the band shell detail per se, but the adjoining, the toilet rooms adjoining to the dome are a steep pitch, like a 12-12. We replicated that. There's got a little kick to it on the gutter line. We did the same thing with the structure. We tried to keep the roof profile shallow, again mimicking the toilet room and the side buildings to the dome. We've got pilasters with insets. If you study the building a little bit, it's all stucco, and it's got the corners, there's a slight projection, it's a slight recess. We replicated that detail. Again, you kind of can't see that, but we were working off of some of that detailing and really trying to replicate the overhangs and everything associated with the existing dome building. We're limited based on the 854-foot elevation for the 100-year floodplain. So we got to kind of massage the building to make it fit, trying to maximize the distance between the dome and the structure, and also accommodating all the needs of the lifeguard station and the visual that. So we're kind of playing with some site issues because it's very tight in that area. We've got the curb cut along there, so we have the ADA access to it. And again, the toilet rooms are to the west, again, accessible from the both parking lot and as a drop-off area for others to use the facilities as well. So everything's masonry, low maintenance, and again, replicating a lot of the detail on the existing building, so.
Alderman Ellis?
I'm confused. Why are we even talking about this? Doesn't this have to go in front of architectural and planning anyway?
We're just throwing out concept plans out for the council to get your feedback and also give you the opportunity to talk to your constituents. So it's just the first phase. We're not far enough along, and we don't know if we're going to build it ourselves. We don't know if we're going to partner. We're going to go out for an RFP and have somebody else build it. So there's still a lot of steps in the process, but it's something that would be nice if we can start moving this forward now that we know the boat launch is going forward. We have all the elevations and all the engineering design for the boat launch. Prior to that, we couldn't do anything. It would be inappropriate.
Well, I say we just keep that to the professionals as far as the architectural committee and the planning, zoning, and then have it come back when that's all done.
We're just looking for input, so we look forward to your input moving forward. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Mr. Betcher, thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor? Opposed? So moved. Okay, folks, thank you for your patience. We're going to jump into our common council meeting. Does anybody need a break, or can we move right in? We're good? Okay. Then we'll move on to our next meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Get a fast one, I have to go to the bathroom.
Let me know when you're ready. If you'd like to make a public comment at the comment and suggestions section, there are little blue cards. Please fill those out. and you'll be called up at the beginning part of the meeting.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Great. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call to order the City of Oconomowoc Common Council meeting for Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
If you would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas.
Here.
Alderman Rozak.
Present.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Here.
Alderman Ellis.
Here. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of meeting minutes for June 4th, 2024.
So moved, Rozak.
Second, Ellis.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Without objection, I'd like to make a request to move item 12A, the American Legion Band 100th Anniversary Proclamation, forward while we have members here from the American Legion Band.
So moved.
Okay. Without objection, I'm going to move that forward. And at this point, we have a couple things for you. It's pretty special. This is the 100th anniversary of the American Legion Band. And would our American Legion Band members please stand up for us?
You look so young.
Well, we're very excited to have you here, and we have some things for you moving forward. So 100 years is pretty special. And for the community and the council, please join the American Legion Band tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. for their special celebration of the 100th anniversary here in Oconomowoc. So let's give them a round of applause. So I'd like to make this proclamation. If you'd like to come forward, all of you, and gather around the podium. Whereas Oconomowoc and the Lake Country area are most fortunate to have the Oconomowoc American Legion Band to enjoy. And whereas the City of Oconomowoc has in the past honored particular individuals and groups that have significantly enhanced the well-being and quality of life in Lake Country area. And whereas the American Legion Band is made up of talented musicians of all ages who are dedicated to musically enhancing the quality of life in our community. And whereas the band has regularly brought joy and pleasure to Oconomowoc since July 30th, 1924. And whereas the band has generously volunteered their time to entertain those individuals who are unable to travel to the band shell venue through their service of honor concerts, and whereas the band has successfully launched and financed the Junior Legion Band program to provide musical opportunities for younger musicians in our community. And whereas the band has performed in state, national, and international events, and has continued to provide family enjoyment on Wednesday evenings in the city park and at other community parks or community events, including parades on Memorial Day, the 4th of July, Halloween, and Christmas. And whereas the American Legion Band is celebrating its 100th birthday in conjunction with the 90th anniversary of the Rhodey Memorial Band Shell at City Beach, and has dedicated Wednesday, that's tomorrow, June 19th, 2024, at their anniversary concert. Therefore, I, Robert P. Magnus, Mayor of the City of Oconomowoc, do hereby encourage and call all our citizens to publicly recognize and join in expressing our deep gratitude and appreciation for the many years of enjoyment, of the American Legion Band has brought to our community. Therefore, let it be known by all that we, the citizens of Oconomowoc, do hereby express our gratitude and wish the band happy 100th anniversary. And finally, and furthermore, we are looking forward to another 100 years of musical enjoyment. Now, therefore, I, Robert P. Magnus, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2024 as Legion Band Day in Oconomowoc, and hereby honor this notable volunteer community organization as the Band of the Century. Witnessed here, I set my hands and herefore apply the official seal of the City of Oconomowoc this 18th day of June 2024. So very well done. Now, also as a special honor, we'll be reading this again tomorrow night to the bandshell group and then present it to you officially. In addition, we have cupcakes for you, 100th cupcakes. So if we could have someone please distribute the cupcakes to everyone. We have to celebrate an anniversary or birthday with a little bit of sugar. So thank you so much.
You have a choice of vanilla or chocolate cupcakes.
Cleaning crew's gonna have fun tomorrow.
Get some too. Right. We all set.
Right, there's vanilla and or chocolate, whichever you like.
Cupcakes first. Wow, thanks so much.
I do. Too many, Stan. Let me tell you.
Can you go over to?
I'm going to take a vanilla.
Oh, I'll
Yeah,
take
that's what I was thinking.
red, white, and
take a
bluey.
vanilla.
Give them the cupcakes, yeah. It's not for us. Yeah.
We can get the band members here. I want to make sure.
I think you put your finger in
Okay.
this one.
All right, I'll take one.
I'm good, that's all.
There's different decorations on them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. We have cupcakes for you. Anyone in the audience, we have plenty of cupcakes. So please join us and welcome.
Take 15 or 20 home with you.
I know. I don't think we need to move people up. I feel like it's going to be quick enough.
Yeah, why don't you bring them up for a picture? Good.
Excuse me. Am I in your, you got room? You got room? Or I'll move it. I'll move stuff. It's nice. No, you're not. It's nice we can be so close.
Okay, that's,
We're good at lining up. I know. I figured. Not have them sit there. That's nice. 100 years. That's funny. They don't want me in the picture. They don't ask me.
I played drums, which I might at some point. No, not really. With the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, yes, when I was 18. But, with 100 bands over the years, yes.
Oh, yeah, I know you've played a lot of, plus your own
I'm
band.
sorry. I know I had a vanilla. Maybe someday that they were, yeah.
Thank you again, appreciate it. We're going to move on for the council meeting to comments and suggestions from citizens. At this point, I had, oh, here we go. I have one card. I'll read your name. If you could please come up to the podium. You have 3 minutes to provide your thoughts or comments to the council. If you get beyond the 3 minutes, I'll just ask you to try to close up your comments. When you come, please state your name, your address, and speak clearly into the microphone, please. Cindy Faith. Cindy, are you okay if I eat my cupcake?
Oh, you can.
Okay.
If you have something, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
I'm Cindy Faith. I live at 39 McDowell Court. We were here last month about having our street repaired. So the residents of McDowell, thank you for this meeting and for the mayor and the city council for discussing this topic. The residents unanimously support the city condemning our private streets so that it can be accepted as a public city street and right-of-way. We know that the city does not have to do this, but we feel our situation is unique, so it's worthy of a unique consideration. The residents of our street have been asking the city for decades to make the street public. Over the years, many decades, these residents, I lost my spot, have been unable to address the road maintenance on our own due to prohibitive costs and lack of formal cost-sharing agreement. We are once again asking the city to step in and provide a permanent solution to this issue by condemning the private street and making it public. We are respectfully asking that you treat us the same way that you treat other homeowners in our area of the city by providing the road infrastructure and maintenance that we pay property taxes to help fund. And then thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments from anyone in the audience? I don't have any more blue cards. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our consent agenda items. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to our first area, protection and welfare. Consider act on resolution 24-R3206 granting renewal of 2024-25 alcohol beverage licenses.
So this is the remainder of the licensed establishments seeking renewal for various types of alcohol licenses. They meet all statutory and city codes, and I am recommending approval of their renewal license for the 2024 to 2025 period.
Questions or comments from council? I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Our next item is consider act on resolution 24-R3207 granting probationary renewal of 2024-2025 alcoholic beverage license to Wine and Decor LLC, or known as Vino, etc.
Thank you, Mayor. This item was discussed at Protection and Welfare, and they did pass it on to council without a recommendation. So before us tonight is the license for the Vino, etc., and it's Wine and Decor LLC as a licensee. In the audience, Brian Borkowski, the owner, is here this evening, and he was also at Protection and Welfare. So we are bringing it forward under a condition. So the chief has proposed and recommends a probationary renewal of this license for 4 months. So July 1st through November 5th, which is would be the next council meeting, in the 4-month period. And if things go well, based on all the discussions chief has had with the owner, we would be bringing it forward then for the final granting for the remainder of the renewal period through June 30th. Brian did speak, as well as his staff at the Protection and Welfare Committee. And I think now, because it was brought forward without a recommendation, I'm opening it up for if you have questions of chief or of myself. It was brought up at the Protection and Welfare if we could do this. And our code talks about revocation. And the statutes do not really talk about probationary, but we can put conditions as the next item when we talk about, you'll hear about. You can put conditions on it, and I think the chief is trying to be very business-friendly by making a recommendation for probation due to some of the issues that the chief has dealt with the Vino, et cetera, establishment. And I think that, you know, if we had the only choice to go through revocation or not, it would have been very difficult to, if council would have had a hearing to decide to revocate that license, and we don't want to go down that path right now.
Attorney Riffle.
So Chapter 124 is because of a very good lobby that represents bars in the state of Wisconsin for the last 100 years, is very, very clear with regard to this particular issue. I read the recommendation of the chief to be, he recommends to grant the license, but keep a close eye for another 4 months. In the event there are problems, he would bring forward a recommendation that we go through the revocation process, which is a due process hearing for tavern owners that have created problems and a violation of Chapter 124 and our ordinances. So it's really not a situation where we come back and we renew. It's a situation where if there are problems in November, we will go through a potential revocation process. It's the same thing, and they do have the rights, no matter what, to give them the opportunity to be heard if we're going to revoke it. Just a little bit different than the way it was explained.
And Chief Fish, do you have comments? Okay. Alderman Ellis?
So if I hear you right, Stan, what you're saying is the word probation should not be in this sentence or in this conversation at all.
I have no problem with the way it's characterized, so long as we, you know, the probationary is putting the owner on notice that we're watching them. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it, Alderman Ellis.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
We just, and is everybody crystal clear as to the process now or not? Alderman Rozak.
So, I brought up some of the same concerns Stan kind of just discussed in our protection and welfare meeting. I don't believe that Chapter 125, Sub 12, talks about revocation and suspension. There is no section for probation. We don't have that in our ordinance.
That's true.
I understand what we're talking about, which is kind of putting them on notice, which I think they are at this point. And if they continue those violations that are contained within WSTAT 125-12, and those violations include more than 2 underage tickets in a 1-year period, riotous behavior, serving people that are overly intoxicated, those are the standards that all the bars and anybody that has a Class B license has to follow here in the city. So the problem with doing it the way we're going to do it, or we're thinking about doing it, and I fully understand the chief's concerns here and the concerns that some of the people in the community have raised. I don't discount the chief's concerns. I do think some of the noise complaints that they've had are kind of retaliatory, potentially. I mean, a noise complaint at 8:30 seems, you know, a little ridiculous to me. But, you know, at the same time, we're approving things like fireworks at ballparks and bands at the band shell and bands in other places around the city. Somehow they're held to some kind of different standard because they happen to be on Main Street. But the biggest problem is, what is the standard for probation? We've never done this before. So what do we lay out? What is the framework? There's no framework. The framework's statutory already. So we have a statutory framework. I think they're on notice. My suggestion to council is we renew them like we renew all the other bars. And if the problems consistently continue, then the chief brings that, a complaint is made pursuant to the statute by a complainant or brought to us by the chief, and then we do a revocation hearing. And that, like Stan said, that's due process. That's quasi-judicial. We have to take hearing testimony. We sit as judge, jury, and kind of executioner on the license. They have a vested right in the license, and then we decide whether we're going to withdraw it. They can bring testimony. We can invite people to come in and comment. That's the process. So I get what we're trying to do too. I understand what we're trying to do. I think they are clearly on notice. And really every bar is technically then on probation. Because if they do those violations, all we have to do is try to revocate.
Yes.
So, I don't know. That's where I'm at on this thing. I think I totally get where the chief is going, and I don't want those issues to continue that have continued. But I also think if you create this type of probationary thing, there will be an unintended consequence, which people that have been complaining about noise will now complain more about noise to get us to revoke or do something more with his probationary license is creating, I think, more legal issues for the council. So
Alderman
that
Al-
was a long explanation of my
No,
opposition.
well stated. Alderman Altman Cloth.
So going, based on what Alderman Rozak is saying, so if we go ahead and we approve it like a normal license, but we get through November, and there's been a lot of complaints, there's been a lot of violations, a lot of issues, can we revoke midway, or do we have to wait till June of next year to revoke?
At any point in time, it has to go
So-
through due process.
So I guess in a way, like what Rozak is proposing and what Chief is proposing, essentially it's the same outcome, it's just kind of two different ways to go there, so.
It's a little bit of semantics, but
Yeah,
it's
so-
all.
It is,
could
it
we
really is.
put in a-
Number 2 is the same as number 1.
Yeah, so could we put a motion in, and I mean, and I'm willing to do it, put a motion in that we will approve his license, but we want Chief Pfister to come back in November and give us a report on how the summer went.
Or even,
Well, I think I don't think we need to
sooner.
put a time frame. I think that if something happens, Chief Pfister, who's made this recommendation, is going to come back to us with guidelines based off the state statutes. What's happening right now is the bar owner is just on notice that, hey, we don't want to have a problem, but it's mostly semantics and how we're laying it out. Nothing's going to change. Chief Pfister could come to us in 2 weeks. He could come to us, but what we're trying to do is say, hey, try to get your act together over the next four months. Alderman Ellis.
whereas I know this issue is with Vino, I think that if that motion is made, that we need to put all of the bars on notice and
Well,
not
they are.
just.
They're all on notice.
Okay.
You gotta
But I
mind their
want that
Ps
for
and
the
Qs.
record. I don't want him to feel as though he's being looked at and put under a magnifying glass, and nobody else is going to.
He is not. We're
suffer
doing this
because
in a
of it.
fair process. This is a fair process based on problems. Chief Pfister.
Thank you. I have no problem with going that route. Basically, what I was trying to do was not have them sit there, well, when are they gonna stop nitpicking me? You know, I was trying to give them a time frame of say, hey, we're gonna watch you a little bit closer for the next 4 or 5 months here and so forth. I don't want them to think, you know, how long are the police going to be, you know, coming after me?
Well, that, I
So
think.
that's
if-
all I was
if-
trying to.
I mean, that's a great point. I actually think you were trying to be more fair than I think we actually have to be. We're never going to stop nitpicking.
Right.
I mean, I'm not talking about just Vino, I'm talking about any bar that starts to have
Absolutely.
problems. You're going to report that to us and tell us there's an issue. We get our bartender, we get your tavern report. So we should be reviewing the tavern report, and if there are consistent problems. So let's say another bar in town starts having fights constantly. Some bad group is showing up, they're having fights constantly. At some point, you're gonna bring that to us and say, look, they're not doing enough for security, they're not doing enough with bouncers, they're over-serving people, and we need to consider revoking, and we need to have a hearing. So I think that's the route we should go with everyone. And so, yeah, I mean, to that extent, I think you were trying to be, very fair with them, and I appreciate that, because we want to be friendly. I also don't want us to turn into the 1990s again here in Economowoc either. I think they bring a lot of good stuff to the community, so.
Like to entertain a motion?
What is the motion?
Oh, Alderman Ellis, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve his license.
Per Pfister's
Per what? Per what?
recommendation,
Per
or just?
nothing.
It's the same
That we
thing.
just-
Yeah.
If you approve the license,
You
you approve
approve
the
it.
license.
Right.
Second.
Any further discussions or comments? Alderman Spiegelberg.
Would it be beneficial to have Brian come up and state on the public record some of the things that he talked about in committee as far as what he will do going forward?
Would you like him to?
Please.
Mr. Bukowski, would you please come up?
Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks for allowing me to be here. Some of the things that we're doing to correct this. So we've always had bouncers at our bar, but what we're doing is we're putting one at the front and one at the back door to adhere to both entrances. You can't come in the back door anyways, but we've had a problem in the past where someone would open the door for their friends or something like that, and we're going to have somebody in the back. We've also, just what we were talking with Chief Pfister is about sometimes our bouncers may assist behind the bar. We're going to hold them accountable to being at the door. So if they have to stock a beer or something like that, they're not being removed from their position, and I'll just staff another person for that. The windows have been, they've been great for us, but they've also been sore to us too. Usually when we have live music, the bands will open them up because they get warm in there. So we're currently working with air conditioning companies to get a new, more BTUs in our building. It's probably a 6-week process there. What I've done in the meantime is contacted Fieldstone Glass, who put the windows in, and asking them to put locks on our windows so we can control those, so we don't have to interrupt a band while they're playing and then the windows stay up.
So if I'm hearing you correct, those windows will stay closed
Yes,
as of tomorrow?
correct, yeah. Well, we've always said when there's a band.
A band playing?
Yeah, when there's nothing, we like to open them so it's fresh air.
Good. Alderman Ellis, you had a question?
I have a question for Fire Chief.
Oh.
I was on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Well, we can open,
You can stay,
we
Brian.
can open some windows.
Right.
Brad.
Right, exactly. So my only concern here is we're talking about closing doors and closing windows and things on those lines. Are we gonna be okay with that?
So we follow the fire code, and we've worked with Brian and Chief as well on egress, capacity issues, and flow. So that back entrance, it's still an emergency exit. If there's an emergency downstairs, people can still get out, but it's locked for people to come in, is how we've worked that out. We address that issue, and then we've got the front door. So we figure out their capacity, they know their capacity, and then those are their 2 exits out of that building, so that's okay.
And the windows, not an issue, not a concern, with nobody being able to open them besides owner
No,
or
no.
manager?
Windows aren't considered an emergency exit in many buildings, so.
Good question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, things you'd like to share? Thank you for all your comments in committee. That was enlightening, and really appreciate your work with our police department, fire department. Any other comments, Mr. Borkowski?
Oh, well, thank you.
Any
Thanks,
other
Brian.
comments for him? All right, thank you so much. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further comments or questions?
Wait, can you
Alderman-
restate the motion first?
The motion is to pass
Approve it.
the
Okay.
license, yeah.
Just want to make sure since I'm the first one on there.
Okay, called roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye. On to consider act on approval of a full-service retail sales application, Steelhead Ale Works LLC.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a new
You're done.
process now due to the passing of Act 73, and it's for producers of their own alcoholic beverages. So what happens now is there's a new form that the producers must fill out, and it is a full-service for retail sales, a producer full-service retail sales application. They present it to the city, and the city council then looks to approve what they're asking to sell. As a brewer, they have always been able to sell their own beer, but they used to apply to the city for a Class C wine license, which the city has approved, and this has been since 2019. This application now takes away the licensing issuance from the city, and it'll be now issued by the state. They apply on the application, they name what they want to sell. And the licensee, which is Steelhead Ale Works, has asked for beer, wine, and alcohol sales. So the change in their operation is to provide hard liquor alcohol sales. They have been doing beer and wine. The law allows the city to limit the scope of the alcoholic beverages and that they can sell and/or impose any restrictions on them. As I said, they've been operating since 2019. Chief has told me and Mark there's been no issues, and he also said that a protection and welfare with that business or their operation. And I don't see any reason that they couldn't serve the full spectrum of alcoholic beverages, and so we're recommending approval.
And I do not see the applicant here. Is the applicant here and I'm missing them? Okay,
They
I
are
do
not
not see the
here.
applicant here.
Yeah, they did
I'd
not
like to open up for any questions or comments or a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Any further comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Next up, consider act on Resolution 24-R3205, awarding the contract for the 2024 Primary Clarifier Number 2 Improvement Project and associated budget amendment. Mr. Freeber.
Good evening. We put this out for bids, advertised in the newspaper twice. We received 3 bids. One was from Crane Engineering, the other one from August Winter, and the third was from Sabo Mechanical. Crane Engineering being the low bid of $285,680 is the bid we're recommending. We're also asking for a 10% contingency, which would increase it to $314,248, and I expect the construction management to be under $25,000.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Freeber? And as a reminder, this is a budget amendment requiring a supermajority vote. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Next up, on unfinished or old business, consider act on ordinance 24-01069 to opt out of the extended closing hours for licensed alcohol premises during the Republican National Convention, July 15th through the 18th, 2024. This is the second reading.
Hey, since I'm up here, I'll do that item.
Go for it.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. This, as the mayor mentioned, second reading, we brought it 2 weeks ago. The gist of it is that the state of Wisconsin has given approval for bars to stay open to between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. for the 4 nights of the Republican National Convention in July. The council discussed it 2 weeks ago. It was a tie vote with the mayor breaking the tie in support of the ordinance. I'll let the clerk speak to whether or not anybody's reached out to him, but I did see our own Mr. John Suttner on Fox 6 News at noon today, saying that he has no intention of staying open because he didn't think they would see business and question the sense of it. So I will let Diane let you know any correspondence we've gotten from any of the businesses.
So since this was first brought up, and even before when the governor passed this, I've had no contacts from any of our licensed establishments, whether it's phone call, email, or coming to my office. And as I had stated at the first reading, I had reached out to the hotels here in the city, and they had no intention of opening up the hours, you know, till 4 or 6 a.m. in that time frame, and they did not see the need, and they weren't, at the time I spoke to them, they were not full to capacity with room rentals. So, you know, again, I've had no conversation with anyone, nothing. So I don't know that if they all are even aware of it. I would think they are.
I'd like to open up for discussion. If there's no discussion, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
So just to be clear, if we make a motion, it's to not to opt out of the extended hours.
Yay is
Correct.
opt out. Yeah. Yay is no.
So moved.
The extended hours.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
So did you make a motion?
Matt?
I don't know what I did.
I'll make
I
the,
just wanted to make
I'll
sure
make
that
the
it's,
motion to
because
approve the
we had some confusion
I'll
last
make the
week too.
motion.
Okay,
Okay.
word it really well.
It's a motion to adopt the ordinance opting us out of the extended hours in second reading. I'll make
Okay,
that
I will
motion.
second that.
Any further discussions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Nay.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
No.
Alderman Maroney.
Nay.
Alderman Douglas.
Nay.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
So Mayor is once again.
Got me. So,
Aye, Mayor.
yeah. Aye.
We planned that.
Okay, so
I'm kidding, we did not.
motion
That would be
carries.
against the
All
rules.
right, we're going to move on, please. Consider and direct the staff on procedural steps for McDowell Court transfer.
I'll start out, and then I'm sure that Alderman Schulpepper will have some words. So,
And folks, thank you for staying.
so this item was initially brought up and discussed, and the council had requested some additional information regarding the cost. In the background memo that's in the packet, it lists out the street improvements, utilities, legal fees, and potential costs for some of the driveways. In looking at, well, the total cost is at, what we're looking at is for the utilities, $170,000. Those dollars would come out of their account, their existing pipes that they're responsible for. The part that would be in question is the $120,500, which is the street construction, legal fees, and potential driveways for reconstructing what is now McDowell Court driveway. So it's up for discussion. I did put in the comments provided by Alderman Schulpepper last time regarding his request for cost, but I will let him jump in and speak to that now.
Alderman Schulpepper?
Yeah, thanks again for bringing this forward, and thanks to Cindy for taking the time to speak on behalf of the group. I think the last time we had this discussion topic, we hadn't spoken to the entire neighborhood. As of now, we have. We have unanimous support from the entire neighborhood for the city to do a friendly condemnation of that street, to turn it from a private street into a city street. All of the residents who live on that street are in support of doing that. And I think that was one of the prerequisites, is what we said, you know, for this going any further. So they're all on board with this. This is an issue that hasn't been able to be resolved through private parties. The group itself, it's been since the late 1800s that we've been having this issue. And if it was an issue that could have been resolved by the group itself, they would have done that, you know, over the various iterations of neighbors who have lived in that street. But they haven't been able to, because of the prohibitive costs, like Cindy said, and because of the lack of a legal framework that holds them all to this, you know, maintenance and building. And that's because it's a very unique street. There's only one other street like it in the entire other city, and it's in the 2nd district. And so for those reasons, you know, the city stepping in here to do a friendly condemnation of that street, to make it a public street, is the right thing to do. It's not something we have to do. We're not, you know, legally required to do it, but it's the right thing to do. They are a neighborhood that slipped through the cracks, you know, back in the 1890s, and it hasn't been resolved since then. And because of their persistent, you know, advocacy to the city, you know, this is being brought forward again. And you know, for those reasons, you know, I'm asking you all to support this. The utility work would have to be done one way or the other, you know, whether it's happening now or in the future. That's utility assets that are owned by the city. So that's nothing, you know, that's not a private asset that we'd be taking over and repairing. The private asset that we would be repairing right now is that street, and we would be condemning it and turning it into a public street. The one piece I would say on the cost outlay is that we should be covering their driveways up to the point that the street has to be repaired. So it shouldn't be the whole driveway, but only their portion of the driveway that needs to be replaced as a result of the street. And anything further than that, they will need to pay on their own through, you know, the contractor who's doing the work. But I was over there last week with Mark and with Jason, with the neighbors. You know, they're all in agreement with that, and they're happy to, you know, take on those costs themselves. So if anybody has any questions, but like I said, I hope that we would support the friendly condemnation process, and then the city paying for those costs to become a public street.
So real quick, so in the background memo, the direction that was put in there under the recommendation was that the council would direct staff to carry out the items listed in Attorney Riffle's memo as to how we'd have to proceed through that. And then also include funds in the 2025 budget, both utilities and the general fund, for the repairs on that street. And that work would be bid out as part of our larger 2025 street project. but we're looking for, and there's a lot of things that have to take place after this. We have to go through all the legals, but we were looking for one motion tonight that would give everybody peace of mind as to what's going to happen with this street, and we can start making plans going forward.
Alderman Mulder.
What is when would so I get the water and sanitary sewer utilities. When would those have to be replaced? Are they at a point now where we would be doing that work anyway, or are we?
So right now, they're not causing us issues. They would be getting replaced if we replace the street, as we would do in any other. We have the same types of mains throughout the city that, if they're not breaking and they're not a problem, we leave them until we do the street work.
Any idea on what that, I mean, we know the status of the pipes. Are they 10 years away? Are they good for, you don't know?
They're old 4-inch pipe, and there's a lot of that in the city. So it's good until it's not.
Right.
And I don't have a defined answer. I can't tell you, is it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I have a question on that.
Yes.
If just out of curiosity, if the owners were to have gotten together and said, we're going to rebuild the street ourselves, would the city be demanding that they do utility work at that point?
We wouldn't demand it of them. We would look to do it as one of our projects.
As part of the project?
Right,
So
right.
if they were to come back and repave it themselves, then the utility would say, hey, guys, this is a great time. When that's being ripped out, we're going to run in quick and do our thing. The other question I had, Chaz, you may know if you've been out there a lot, how does garbage pick up? I mean, it seems narrow with cars parking. I mean, the garbage trucks get back there?
Yeah.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Well, that's not going to change.
right,
Yeah.
no,
The
but,
width and length of this isn't changing.
okay. But are we gonna allow parking on the street there?
There's no place to park.
There is no place to park with all that movement, okay.
Now, if you go in there, I've been in it probably 3 or 4 times in the last month, and it truly acts as a private street. And I think Chaz's direction is a good thing and the right thing to do. I agree with Alderman Shellpepper. But it's not gonna, we wanna make sure that people that live there realize they're gonna get a new street, new infrastructure, but it's not gonna be an improved street that would be wider or have sidewalks or have an easy way to turn around. You're still gonna have to function the same way you function today. As long as everybody in that group understands that, I think that this is a good thing for the city to support and pay for. Thanks. Alderman Mulder.
So I do have a problem with this. I certainly empathize. There are a lot of problems that could come before this council where the same situation, it would be completely different, but where people are having trouble making a payment on something. I was talking about trees in the backyard. Somebody could have bought a house, there's a legacy forest behind it, it all gets killed by an insect, and suddenly they have $30,000 worth of trees they have to take down. They didn't expect that, but that's unique to their property. This is unique to their property. We're gonna do the budget in a few months. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna take $5,000 out of this pocket and $10,000 out of here, and we're gonna shrink this budget, and maybe we're not gonna do something. We're gonna leave the $120,000 in, so the rest of the citizens are not gonna have those library books, not gonna have those whatever it is, or another quarter mile of road's not gonna get redone, but we're gonna keep this $120,000 in for the 7 or 8 constituents. I get that. It's terrible. I really feel for them. I just don't think that, we know we're gonna have, there's a 2% net new construction next year. We're gonna have a problem in the budget right there, because we don't have as much as we think we're gonna get. Or we're not as much as we've gotten in the past. So I don't think we can think of this as an individual thing, because when it's time to approve the budget, the $120,000 we're spending here is money that's not being spent somewhere else that serves a far greater number of constituents. So I can't support this.
Well, one of the things, I felt the same way initially, and then I had Mark, they looked to see what other properties were like this. Because I started thinking, okay, how about a subdivision that's being built today? And in 30 years, because some of them do have private roads, this same thing would come back. But a lot of the difference is they have HOAs, they have rules and guidelines to do that. If there were a lot of properties like this still in the city, I would strongly vote again, or not promote us moving forward with this. Philosophically, folks, I frankly think you should pay for it yourself. I think that you bought a private road, you bought your private area and a private access, but I think it is right for the city in this situation to try to help you out and make this better. But we all make those decisions, so Alderman Mulder's comments are that's exactly how I started, and I had a lot of discussions with Chaz on it, but actually Chaz has really convinced me that I truly do believe this is the right decision for this unique piece of property, and for the city to fund it. But I want everybody to really think about what Alderman Mulder said, because that's very, very true. Alderman Ellis.
So if I hear you right, what we're not gonna do is we're not going to put any sidewalks in, we're not going to expand the road whatsoever, we're not putting lanes in, we're not putting a stop sign or anything along those lines.
Correct. We're putting in a large driveway.
I just wanna,
We might put a stop sign in.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but no,
Oh,
there's,
that's probably
you know,
true.
now it's a public street going to a public street.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't have that decision anymore.
You won't have that decision anymore.
We're
You
gonna
may get
post it
one.
for no overnight parking, no left turns, stop.
So, I mean, it's a really interesting case, but hats off to Alderman Shellpepper, who's really worked hard on this. Alderman Rozak.
I'm trying to think of Matt, I understand where you're coming from. I'm trying to think of really a truly analogous situation to this, and I can't, the tree thing doesn't quite hit me. I don't, it's an access for the road, different than like, so, the Kingsway places, those condos by me, they do have private roads inside of them, but it's not just that they have an HOA, they actually have the covenants and easements and stuff that force essentially all the folks that live in there to maintain and you know, do common interest fees and stuff to manage those roads and
I
take care
think
of them.
sidewalks are if you have a cracked sidewalk, the city
Well, that's-
replaces it and puts it on your tax bill.
That's an interesting point. I don't disagree with you, but historically, we have helped residents. When we did Thackeray Trail, we redid and put in sidewalk for a lot of folks, including people that weren't directly on Thackeray Trail, to connect sidewalks that had never been connected by the original developer. I think that's probably the closest analogous situation I can think of that we've done before. They're very similarly situated to people that were off of Thackeray on Emerson and some of those other roads where the developer just stopped building sidewalks. And we said, we're gonna take that on and connect those sidewalks for the folks that are in there to no charge. So I think that's probably the closest one that I've otherwise seen on council. And we spent a lot on sidewalks. I mean, it was probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on sidewalks in that whole area.
There's another thing that is looked at quite a bit by people that sell houses and real estate. They look at, do these private roads have road agreements? If they don't have road agreements, in 2021, believe it was Act 99, was put into force, which basically, if you have one or two people that don't agree, they are forced to actually maintain the core road. Because the problem real estate people were having was they couldn't get loan mortgages on really bad roads. Now, so there are some potential other directions you can go. I think Chaz's option is fair right now for this to move forward, but that's really up to you as the 8 elected officials.
Yeah, to finish my point, I don't disagree to some degree philosophically with what you're saying too, but I'm trying to think of other analogous things we've done, and the Thackeray Trail probably is the closest one where we did things for residents there, and something that the original developer should have done and never did for those folks. And these guys are kind of similarly situated. You know, somebody chopped off a bunch of their land, paved a driveway, put a bunch of homes on it, subdivided it, and then said, good luck, guys. You know, and 100 years later, the only reason they're here is because the road is falling apart, right? And they can't agree what to do with it. They can't all get together and spend the money. And they're taxpayers. There's 8 homes. Let's say their city tax bill is $2,000 a year. You know, so you know they're paying money into the tax rolls, and you know, if it's been really that long, I mean we've well recovered our taxes on that road. So yeah, that's my only comment, because I with you, I'm thinking kind of some of the same things, but Thackeray would be the closest one that we've done before, so.
Administrator
Uh,
Fry?
Another example would be when we did the Collins Street parking lot. we had the area between what was our parking lot and the businesses asphalt area. We redid all their asphalt as part of our project.
So it would look like one nice big
Correct.
parking lot,
Correct.
uniform, okay.
So I think we've done those things, but
I understand. I mean, the bottom line is we're replacing sewer and water that doesn't need to be replaced and adding a road. So we're spending $300,000. So 8 homeowners' problem can go away. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
That's the way people want to vote. I mean, let's not, we didn't spend $300,000 so 8 families could have a sidewalk or so. I mean, it's out of proportion with either of those, which is fine. And
which is probably why it hasn't been done for
Probably.
50 to
So
75
maybe now's the
years.
time. I just think we want to be eyes wide open when we go into a budget season, when we're going to have potentially tough decisions to make.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Could we just reiterate what we're sitting at in the general fund reserve right now, unallocated, not including the 25% that we're mandatory required to have? So, you know, we do have options right now, and when I have the opportunity to sit in this seat and use this power to help people that live in my district to do the right thing, I'm gonna do that, especially when we have the assets and the support to do it. So, like I said, if we try to go through all the, you know, pluses and minuses of this in a you know, detailed, like an objective way, you know, maybe you can come to a different conclusion. However, if you're looking at this of just what's the right thing to do based on the fact pattern before us, it's to, you know, do the friendly condemnation and have the city cover the costs. So if we don't have any further debate on it, I'd like to make a motion.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
And I totally understand what you're saying, Alderman Mulder. As far as utilities, at some point, they'd have to get replaced anyway. And even if it's 5 years down the road, it's going to cost a lot more than what it's going to cost us now to do it. Just a comment.
Like to entertain a motion?
I'd like to move to direct staff to complete the steps in Attorney Riffle's memo per the friendly condemnation recommendation and budget the appropriate funds in the 2025 budget and bid the work as part of the 2025 street maintenance bid.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Excuse me. Alderman Mulder.
Nay.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
So folks, it's passed. On next, consider act on the developer's agreement for the Prairie Creek Ridge Addition 9. Mr. Bickler, thank you for your patience. You've been here a long time.
He always gets on the end of the longer agenda.
There's no precedent.
Always a new business.
He is on phase 9. So this is very similar to what I've presented before. Mike and his group and his team have continued their process in completing the Prairie Ridge subdivision as presented years ago. This is a small piece of the subdivision. Roughly 46 properties are going to be added to the subdivision with this agreement. This is again extending sewer and water plus the road system in this area, and we'll be entering into an agreement to complete this work.
Council, we have our applicant here. If you have any questions for Jason or for Mr. Bickler? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved, Altman Cloth.
Second, Ellis.
Any further questions, comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
It's waiting a long time for a very quick vote. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Next up, consider act on the revised retainer agreement for the Natural Rural Water Association lawsuit on PFAS.
So, in May of '21, Kevin Freeber from our wastewater treatment plant came before this body and had brought a retainer agreement as he was looking at potential issues with PFAS on the wastewater side and lawsuits that were taking place. And he wanted to make sure that the city was in a good position to get our fair share of any funds that were going to be out there. As we've been going through this process over the last couple of years, PFAS for us is really a water issue. Wastewater comes on the backside of it, so whatever coming out of our water is going to the treatment plant. But there's a lot of health issues associated with PFAS, and even, and they haven't yet certified the exact amount in the water that can be there. They're putting some numbers out there. But anyhow, so Kevin had brought forth, the retainer agreement was approved, and then they came back, and there's been a couple things. One, the original retainer agreement was just with our wastewater treatment plant. And what they want to do is be able to cover the entire city, which would include wastewater and water. The second change was they reduced their, the payout to them from 30% to 25%, or an amount that's set by the court. One of the recent lawsuits that's getting settled only has a 16% payout. So there is that. And then third, one of the larger suits would like to pay out over a number of years, and there was no wording in the original retainer agreement to provide for this, so that is in there now. There is a risk to that, that if that company after year one or year two goes belly up, we're not getting our money. But chances are, depending on where the courts are, maybe having them pay it all out in 1 year wasn't going to be feasible for them, and they just filed bankruptcy anyhow. This is going to be a huge issue going forward with PFAS in the water. But we got together, the wastewater team, the water team, myself. We've talked to a couple different lawyers, gotten advice, looked at it, and the recommendation coming out of all that conversation was that we should approve this revised retainer agreement and stay with the law firm and as they guide us forward.
I'd like to open this up for discussions or comments.
I had one question there.
Yes. Alderman Rozak?
In the memo, it said, in sum, the city is still probably better off accepting the amendment because of the reduced fee, but only if all installment payments are received. I guess I don't understand what the installment payment is here. And maybe Stan can enlighten me, or Mark, I didn't get what that meant.
Yeah, so this is what I just mentioned, that, one of the lawsuits that they have, the company's looking at, potentially paying it out over 10 years.
Okay.
And that's fine as long as we get our 10 years of payment. But, if they go belly up right away or file some, bankruptcy or whatever that gets them out of that, then we're not getting our money.
We don't pay any cost on this deal either, it doesn't look like?
No, we, the cost, as any legal action with lawsuits, is they get their money from the settlement first.
Right.
Questions or comments? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Nay.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Nay.
Alderman Ellis.
Nay.
It does pass.
Next up, consider act on resolution 24-R3208, modifying the agreement for the treatment of wastewater between the city of Oconomowoc, the town of Oconomowoc, and the town of Oconomowoc Utility District Number 1. Mr. Frey?
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution that's in the packet goes back to a discussion that we've been having with the town of Oconomowoc regarding RECs. Initial discussions, there was a lot of history brought up of where they didn't think they were being fairly dealt with. There was concerns with that, and the mayor wanted, as a sign of our faith and willingness to negotiate with them and have discussions with them, had offered 100 RECs, sanitary sewer RECs, to the district without any type of a boundary agreement or any changes that way. Discussions prior to that point were, if they wanted any RECs, that we were gonna have to do some type of a border agreement. And so this 100 RECs comes without that. We think this is a good gesture, but, we need to, it's the council's approval that needs to be done on that, even though the mayor made the offer. So the resolution in the packet tonight is to provide that 100 RECs I did have the town provide me a letter saying that they would accept the recs, because I didn't want us to go through and vote and then have them say, well, we don't want them, so.
And these recs are required to be along the lake, along Okachi Lake by residential use. They're working on multiple roads, and like we've talked about, when you rip up a road, you want to put the infrastructure in at the same time. So it was an offer of good faith that myself and some from our committee had offered to them that we had brought to you in the past. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Rozak, so moved.
Second.
Any further discussions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Nay.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Next up is consider act on the July 2nd, 2024 council meeting. Mr. Fry.
So, as I noted in the background memo, we have items that we can have on a July 2nd agenda for the council to act on, but they're not time sensitive. With 4th of July being in that week, we're putting it out there for consideration if whether or not you want to have a meeting. If you want to have a meeting, we have items that can be on there for action, but if you choose to not have a meeting on the first Tuesday of July, we can bring those items to the third Tuesday and not have any impact on them. So it's a council's decision, it doesn't matter to us.
We've had a couple aldermen that have requested not having a meeting during the holiday period, and we wanted to bring it forward to you for your discussion and consideration. If there was something time-sensitive or urgent, we probably would not bring this forward. Okay. Yeah,
Questions?
Alderman.
In here, it says there will be Plan Commission on the 3rd, but didn't we receive an email today that Plan Commission was moved to the 1st?
Yeah, that decision was
So-
made this morning.
Yeah, so are we still going to have Plan Commission then, even?
Yes.
Okay.
Plan Commission, instead of being on the 3rd of July, excuse me, the 2nd of July, it will be on the 1st of July, Monday night. It's third. That's okay.
Correct.
But we also didn't have Plan Commission this month, so.
But I've got Pewaukee
For June.
Traditionally, it's always been after.
So with the item at hand, do you want to have a council meeting on the 2nd, or would you like to?
Last year we didn't. We took
No, we
the
took,
third off
yeah.
last year, I guess. Or was the fourth last year?
Whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was cool.
Alderman Ellis?
So I don't know, I'm probably going to be the minority in this one, but I think we should, only because, you know, we're here to do a job. And whether it takes 10 minutes to do, or it takes 4 hours to do, whatever it is, my constituents anyway want to know that I'm doing the best I possibly can, and I'm not just kind of not doing anything at all, in a sense, even if it's during a holiday season. So I have no problem with coming in, and maybe there's 2 things on the agenda. I mean, I think our shortest meeting's been, what, 10 minutes? Okay? I have no problem with that, but I think
No, I
it's really, when I said I do, or whatever it is what I said, I meant it. So I don't have a problem with coming in on the 2nd.
No, and I think everybody doesn't have a problem coming in. We're just trying to give you the option. It's up to you guys.
That's fine.
Let me explain my reasoning why I'm going to vote for this. This isn't about us doing our job, it's also about whatever happens to be on the agenda for the people that have to show up.
Yes.
You know, that we're not inconveniencing them on a holiday weekend where some people get, you know, an extra 2 or 3 days and they want to go up north. Someone maybe has, you know, people that want to show up, maybe there's an important topic. So for me, it's like, I'll be here I'll be here that week, I'll be here on the 2nd, it's not a problem for me. I think it's more important, number one, our staff gets that time off. They're very busy, they go to a lot of meetings and spend a lot of time here listening to us jabber on all night. Number 2, it gives those people that have something on the agenda a chance to actually show up, and if they need, you know, people from McDowell Court to show up, you know, they can all be here, you know, or whatever it happens to be. So that's why I'm in favor. It's not to save me 15 minutes, because God knows we spend a lot of time doing this job, both here at council meeting and probably more time outside of council meeting on many weeks. So that's my position on that.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
2 quick things. I guess to Kevin's note, one thing to kind of keep in mind is that we have plenty of meetings that go pretty late, so I think it kind of makes up for the weeks in July that we decide not to have a meeting. And if anybody really feels, obligated to serve their constituents and attend a meeting, I mean, you're more than welcome to join us at Plan Commission on the 1st.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
And that's honorable that you feel that way, Kevin. I think we all feel that way to a great degree. But again, I think it goes down to the fact that there's nothing time sensitive. And it will actually save the city money in overhead costs and staff costs, so.
An attorney.
An attorney, thank you.
I'm just sitting here. Gee whiz.
Meter running.
Exactly.
So
We've-
I'll make,
we've-
so we're
we've
not
looked-
taking up
just
any
one
more of
second.
Stan's
One
money.
moment.
Oh.
We've looked at this for several weeks, and if there was something time-sensitive and important, even if it was one item, we would have the meeting. I wouldn't be bringing this to you. That's why it's there. So go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve not having a meeting on the 2nd of July. Thank you.
Second.
Any further questions, comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Close.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Nay.
Next up, staff reports. Mr. Fry.
If it loads. So 41 years ago today, I married my wife. Get that.
Really, is that Mark?
Bring back the beard.
Exactly. And we're cupcakes for the council to celebrate.
Joe Biden called. He said he wants his aviator glasses back.
Yeah. No, I just,
outkicked your coverage on
she's
that.
the love of my life, the best thing that ever happened to me,
And
and
she puts up
I
with
couldn't
you.
be more happy, so.
Congratulations.
Why isn't she here?
She's smart. Any comments or from any of the aldermen before we close? Jennifer Altman-Close.
I want to make sure that Kevin, gets his time in, considering we're not going to be together, in July. So I have lots of comments. No, I'm just kidding. When we were talking about Vino tonight and doors and windows and all of that, I remember this conversation coming up, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, about if we could just take some time to look at the ordinance on, when they're allowed to have doors open and windows open, and, because some of it does just, it just doesn't make sense. Some of it's just, why was it decided that way when it was decided that way? We know that, especially in some of these older buildings downtown, the heat doesn't always work very well, the air conditioning doesn't work very well. So, obviously, it's a different thing when he has a very loud band, but I would like for us as a council to look at that ordinance. The second thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, the Village of Summit and the Town of Oconomowoc have both approved UTV golf carts. Because I had a guy the other day not driving very politely in the city in a UTV. And I know that there's a couple areas where people kind of get a little confused on, am I in Summit? Am I in the town? And it was the Quick Trip by Summit Credit Union, 67 and Fire Station Road. So is that a problem that we're starting to see? I mean, I was a little taken back. I've seen two now.
No,
going to that
you should
Quick
call the
Trip.
police. You see that? So,
Get the fly.
Can I get your number before we leave here so I can?
No, that would be the first I've heard of it. I have not, we had no issue with it, but obviously they are not allowed
Yeah.
in the city.
'Cause I even had a moment where I
And the
thought-
county did not release the county roads
Okay.
for Summit either.
I didn't think that they would be allowed on Highway 67.
Right.
Okay, so that's all I got.
Only in the fast lane.
Any other questions
where I
from
drive.
Alderman? Alderman Maroney.
I'd just like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
We'll be getting together.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Invite.
absolutely. A special time. Any other comments from Alderman? With no additional, yes? Okay,
Be under staff, I think.
so this will be a staff comment? We're good?
So I just wanted to make all the council members and everyone left here tonight to know that looking at an old letter or article on the hallway wall of the utility building, that next week, Thursday, June 27th, will be our 125th anniversary of being an electric utility.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
We need to have a
You
party.
look great. You really do. You look
He
great.
brought cupcakes too.
So I just had to add some years on the 41, not to outdo Mark, but I think that's a remarkable
That's huge.
accomplishment. You know, it's just a testament how long we've been an electrical utility, and it would be cool to see what it was 125 years ago, because it's pretty cool right now to see what it is today. So can't imagine what, you know, people did back in those days.
Lots of gerbils.
And do you remember, Mark, reading the article? Not because you weren't there for 125 years. But I think the original utility was purchased for, and I didn't do any homework on this, but I think it was $40,000 that the original utility was purchased for.
Wow. Yeah, the Oconomowoc Electric Company, which was a hydro dam over at the Road T boat launch area in Akachi.
Nice.
And according to Google, that'd be worth like 1.5 million today, but we didn't go any further than that, but. And I think in that same year,
They started the water utility.
the water utility too, so we kind of missed that birthday. I think it was a little earlier, and that was like 42,000, so the water utility actually cost more than the electric utility back in 1899.
Somebody had light bulbs.
So, just thought it would be something worth mentioning because the anniversary would have passed by the next time we met in the middle of July, so. We don't have any infrastructure left that I can recall or think that we have on the books from that time frame.
We took wood water main out of the avenue when we dug that project for the DOT.
I have
Okay.
minute books.
So we might, might be
something
on
somewhere.
McDowell Court.
Thank you for sharing that
find
with
out.
us. Yeah, great. Any further comments from Alderman?
I already ate one, but I'll have another one for that.
Oh, I thought they took it.
Last comment from the mayor, have a wonderful holiday season and be safe out there. And thank you for all your hard work. And you guys work above and beyond what I think a lot of councils do. I have no knowledge of that, but I see how hard you all work. But it definitely appreciate for all the constituents. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in